Welcome back to class, my future Slayers champs. Today on Bite-Sized Battletech, we'll be covering one of the Draconis Combine's pride and joys, a mech that would see use by them alone for over 50 years, the 35-ton light-class battle mech, the Jenner. First walking off the production line in 2784, the Jenner would be the sole property of the Draconis Combine for well over 50 years. This was a big point of national pride within the Combine. Designed, produced, and used exclusively within the Draconis Combine's mustered soldiery, known as the DCMS for short, the Jenner was designed to be a fast guerrilla fighter that would form the foundation of the DCMS's highly mobile lances. Speaking about mobility, the Jenner was highly agile with its Magna 254 fusion engine, allowing it to reach speeds of 118 kilometers per hour. In addition to its ground speed, the Jenner was capable of making big leaps, as its 5 jump jets, 2 in each side torso and 1 in its center torso, allowed it to clear 150 meters of ground in a single jump. Though, with this speed, the original model of the Jenner would see some drawbacks with its early weapon systems. The first Jenner produced came with a single large laser and 2 medium lasers. While usually this would be a nice fitting loadout for a light mech, it ran into an issue as all 3 of these lasers were mounted in an easily disabled turret. This was on top of the fact that the targeting software for the original medium lasers were also riddled with bugs in their code. After some tinkering and rearming, we would see the loadout of the Jenner move towards the new standardized model, the Jenner D. The primary weapon system of this new model were its 4 medium lasers, 2 mounted to each of its directionally variable mountings on the sides of the mech. These lasers gave it the teeth it needed to strike at other mechs in the medium to close range brackets. Complementing these lasers, the Jenner had an SRM-4 mounted in its center torso. This was supplied by 1 ton of ammo in its right torso. The inclusion of this SRM paired well with its array of lasers, as when the lasers broke through armor, the missiles could punch into the structure of an enemy mech to search for critical strikes against it. While this armament is quite destructive in its damage capabilities, the Jenner D only made use of 10 single heat sinks, meaning this mech has the potential to run hot. This configuration would come at the cost of the Jenner only carrying 4 tons of armor. This is considered quite light compared to other mechs in its weight range. The Jenner quickly became the light workhorse of the DCMS, with the start of the First Succession War, though this reputation would forever be tarnished by the events of the Kintari's massacre. The construction of new Jenners would continue in the factories of Diplon Mechwarrior on Ozawa, though this would run into a snag when a mineral shortage would lead to the halting of the mass production of this mech in 2815. This was only a minor issue, as the Jenner would still see production afterwards. In the year 2823, Diplon would continue its production of the Jenner on Ozawa, producing over 3,000 models. These would be shipped to Diplon's subsidiary on Luthien, in which these mechs would be fully assembled. In turn, the factories on Luthien were also retooling to gear up to produce Jenners as well. These factories would begin their own production run of the Jenner by the year 2830, in which both production facilities would see a turnout rate of 1,350 Jenners a year, though the sheer destruction of the Succession Wars would take their toll when the last factories producing the Jenner were destroyed in 2848. Even with this setback, so many Jenners had already been produced that nearly every DCMS battalion would have at least one of these mechs well into the War of 3039. Even with this, the Jenner would start being produced and see service under the other great houses. The design, however, was still a predominant fixture of the Draconis Combine. A favorite tactic of Jenner lances was to gang up on larger mechs and unleash destructive alpha strikes. 1 or 2 of mechs in these lances would be equipped with Inferno rounds for their SRM-4s, so that even if a mech survived the initial ambush, they would be badly hurt and running hot. This in turn allowed the Jenners to jump out of combat to cool off before they would attack again. This strategy would be repeated until either the Jenner lance was killed or the mech they were targeting was dead. Another common tactic for the Jenner was to pair its sheer speed and firepower with the Panther, another staple mech of the Combine. This meant that the Jenner could go for flanking attacks while the slower Panther would provide it covering fire. The Jenner became such a favored mech among the Mechwarriors of the DCMS, so much so that they would begin comparing new Combine designed mechs against it. As time went on, rebuilding the Jenner production line on Luthien became a top priority for Gunji no Conrei Theodore Carito. This would, however, come with complications as the necessary construction time to get the factories up and running on top of the relatively inexperienced engineers of the Draconis Combine meant that even with the aid from Comstar, the factory wouldn't be complete until 3046. With the rediscovery of Lost Tech and the Jenner's extensive role within the ranks of the DCMS, this would make it a prime candidate for new upgrades, though Luthien Armor Works deliberately avoided any radical change to keep the strengths of the original design. This would lead to the new Jenner K replacing the older models with little fanfare. It was not until the Jenner began to be outmatched and outclassed by newer designs using the newer and superior technology that Jenner pilots would start complaining. Even so, the forces of the DCMS were reluctant to the new change, slowly leading to many commanders mothballing their Jenners for newer light mechs and omni-mechs. Since then, the Jenner would see a few new variants that utilize the new technology within their own designs. That being said, it would take the devastation that the Jihad racked on the inner sphere to see many of the older Jenner K models put to service on the front lines. And with that, this is all the time we have for today's lecture. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Jenner with me today. As you already know, I really appreciate the time you spend out of your day to watch this. If you have any mechs you would like me to cover sooner than others, let me know in the comments below, and while you're down there, give the video a like and subscribe. Without viewers like you, I would not be able to make content like this, and it really does show me that you appreciate my efforts. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.